The alarm screamed through the corridors of the Zephyrian monitoring station's silent watch. Kessethan's 4 eyes darted across his sensor display, his blue scales turning pale with shock. The readings made no sense. Something massive was coming, through hyperspace bigger than anything he had ever seen. "Commander Rixaval," Kessethan called out, his voice cracking with panic. "You need to see this." Commander Rixaval rushed over, her tall frame moving quickly across the command center. She was a veteran of many wars and very little surprised her anymore. But when she looked at the sensor readings, her breath caught in her throat. "That cannot be right," she whispered. "Run the scan again." Kessethan's claws clicked nervously on his console. "I have run it 5 times, Commander. The energy signature is real. Something enormous is about to drop out of hyperspace." The monitoring station silent watch was positioned at the edge of what the aliens called the border zone. It was contested space, where different alien races fought over planets and resources. The hegemony, a powerful alliance of alien species, had been expanding their territory for years. They took what they wanted and crushed anyone who stood in their way. "Send an immediate message to Admiral Vextar," Commander Rixval ordered. "Priority 1. Tell him we have an unknown contact approaching." On the bridge of the Hegemony flagship destroyer of worlds, Admiral Vextar received the message. He was a Korvaxian, a race known for their military might and cruel nature. His red eyes glowed with interest as he read the report. "Unknown contact," he said to his second-in-command. "Show me." The main screen lit up with sensor data from Silent Watch. Admiral Vextar studied the readings with growing curiosity. Whatever was coming was huge, but it was alone. No fleet, no escort ships, just one massive vessel. "Probably some merchant ship that got lost," his second-in-command suggested. "Should we ignore it?" Admiral Vextar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "No. I want to see what this is. Ready all ships. If it is hostile, we will destroy it quickly." The Hegemony fleet was impressive. 200 warships of various sizes floated in formation around their flagship. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters, and support vessels. It was enough firepower to conquer small star systems. Back on Silent Watch, Kessethan watched his sensors with growing fear. "Commander, whatever it is about to arrive." The space around the monitoring station shimmered. Reality seemed to bend and twist as something enormous forced its way out of hyperspace. First came a flash of brilliant light, then a shock wave that rattled every ship in the area. When the light faded, they could see it clearly. The ship was massive beyond belief. It was black as space itself, with angular lines that seemed to cut through reality. Strange lights pulsed along its hull, and energy fields shimmered around its surface. It was easily 3 times larger than Admiral Vextar's flagship. "By the void," Commander Rixval breathed. "What is that thing?" The alien crews across the fleet stared in shock. None of them had ever seen a ship like this. It did not match any known design from any known race. The technology appeared far beyond anything they understood. "Sir," the communications officer on the flagship called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel." Admiral Vextar straightened in his command chair. "Put it on screen." The main display changed to show the bridge of the mysterious ship. The figure that appeared made every alien in the fleet gasp with surprise. It was a human woman sitting calmly in a captain's chair. She had brown skin, short black hair, and calm dark eyes. She wore a simple uniform with captain's stripes. The aliens had heard of humans, but they considered them a minor species. Humans had only recently developed faster than light travel. They were supposed to be weak, primitive, barely worth noticing. Yet here was a human commanding this massive warship. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy Dreadnought Indomitable," the human said in a calm, clear voice. "You are currently occupying systems claimed by humanity. You have 24 hours to withdraw your forces and return to your own territory." Admiral Vextar burst into laughter. Several of his officers joined him. A human, giving them orders? It was absurd. "Human," Admiral Vextar said, still chuckling. Do you see how many ships we have? 200 warships against your one vessel. You should surrender now, and perhaps we will let you live. Captain Chen's expression did not change. Admiral, I am not here to negotiate. I am here to deliver a message. Humanity will no longer tolerate hegemony expansion into our space. You have 24 hours. Or what? Admiral Vextar snarled. You will attack us with one ship? If necessary, Captain Chen replied calmly. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Admiral Vextar stared at the blank screen in disbelief. The audacity of this human was incredible. One ship against his entire fleet, and she acted like she had the advantage. Sir, his tactical officer reported, our scanners cannot penetrate their hull. We cannot determine their weapons or defenses. Admiral Vextar frowned. What do you mean? Their ship seems to be made of materials we do not recognize. Our sensors cannot get accurate readings. It is like looking at a shadow. On the monitoring station, Kessethan was having the same problem. Commander, I cannot scan the human ship properly. My instruments show conflicting data. Commander Rixval studied her own sensors. Send all our data to Fleet Command. Let them figure out what we are dealing with. Back on the Indomitable, Captain Chen turned to her first officer, Commander Jackson Torres. He was a tall man with gray hair and steady hands. Well, that went about as expected, Torres said with a slight smile. They think we are bluffing, Captain Chen replied. They see one ship against 200 and assume we are either crazy or desperate. They have no idea what they are dealing with, Torres said. Should we show them? Captain Chen looked at the tactical display showing the hegemony fleet. 200 ships, all armed and dangerous. Any normal fleet would be terrified. But the Indomitable was not a normal ship. Not yet, she said. Let them think about it, for a while. Sometimes the fear of the unknown is more powerful than the reality. Lieutenant Kim Park, the communications officer, looked up from her station. Captain, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleet. They are trying to scan us with every sensor they have. Let them look, Captain Chen said. They will not learn anything useful. The hours passed slowly. The hegemony fleet remained in formation, but Captain Chen could see they were nervous. Ships moved restlessly in their positions. Sensor sweeps became more frequent and desperate. Admiral Vextar grew increasingly frustrated. His science officers could tell him nothing useful about the human ship. It was there, clearly visible but somehow beyond their understanding. Sir, his communications officer said, we are receiving reports from across the sector. News of this confrontation is spreading. Other fleets are asking for orders. Admiral, Vextar nodded grimly. The entire galaxy was watching. If he backed down from one human ship, his reputation would be destroyed. But if this human ship was somehow more dangerous than it appeared, he could be leading his fleet into disaster. Time remaining? He asked. 18 hours until their deadline, came the reply. Admiral Vextar stared at the human dreadnought on his screen. It hung in space like a dark omen, silent and waiting. He had a choice to make, and he was beginning to suspect that whatever choice he made, nothing would ever be the same again. 12 hours had passed since Captain Chen's ultimatum. Admiral Vextar paced his command deck like a caged predator. His red eyes kept returning to the view screen showing the human dreadnought. The massive black ship hung motionless in space, but somehow it felt like a coiled spring ready to unleash destruction. Sir, his communications officer announced, the human captain is requesting to speak with you again. Admiral Vexitar snarled. Put her through. Captain Chen's calm face appeared on the screen. Behind her, the bridge of the Indomitable looked surprisingly normal. Human crew members worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Nothing seemed threatening or unusual, yet every alien in the hegemony fleet felt a chill looking at them. Admiral Vextar, Captain Chen said politely, I thought we should talk. There is nothing to discuss, human, Vextar replied. You made your demands. I reject them. I made no demands, Captain Chen corrected gently. I delivered a message. Humanity is claiming its rightful territory. We are asking you to respect our borders. Admiral Vexitar laughed harshly. Your borders? Humans have been in space for what, 50 years? We have ruled this galaxy for thousands of years. You have no right to claim anything. Captain Chen leaned forward slightly. Admiral, may I ask you something? How long have you been monitoring human space? The question caught Vexitar off guard. What does that matter? Humor me, Captain Chen said. When did the hegemony first detect human faster-than-light travel? Vexitar frowned. About 40 years ago. Your first crude attempts at FTL were easy to spot. And in those 40 years, how many human ships have you encountered? Very few. Vexitar admitted. Your species seemed content to stay in your small corner of space. Captain Chen nodded. That is interesting. Because during those 40 years, human ships have been everywhere. We have visited every major star system in this galaxy. We have observed your wars, studied your technology, and learned about your cultures. A cold feeling crept into Admiral Vexitar's chest. That is impossible. Our sensors would have detected you. Would they? Captain Chen asked calmly. Admiral, you cannot even scan this ship properly right now. What makes you think you could detect our smaller vessels? Vexitar turned to his science officer. Is this possible? The science officer, a nervous Zephyrian named Dr. Colvin, checked his instruments quickly. Sir, I cannot say for certain. If their stealth technology is advanced enough. It is, Captain Chen confirmed. We have been watching you, Admiral. We know about your expansion plans. We know about the worlds you have conquered and the species you have enslaved. We decided long ago that if you came for us, we would be ready. Admiral Vexitar felt his confidence beginning to crack. Even if this is true, you are still one ship against my fleet. Am I? Captain Chen asked. She turned to someone off-screen. Commander Torres, please show the Admiral what our sensors detect in this system. The view screen split, showing both Captain Chen and a tactical display. The display showed the hegemony fleet clearly, but it also showed something else. Dozens of small contacts scattered throughout the system, previously undetected. Those are our reconnaissance drones, Captain Chen explained. They have been watching your fleet since you entered this system. They are also recording everything for our databases. Dr. Colvin was frantically checking his sensors. Sir, I am detecting some of these contacts now, but only because they are allowing me to see them. This is a trick, Admiral Vexitar shouted, but his voice lacked conviction. Admiral, Captain Chen said gently, I am going to demonstrate something for you. Please observe your sensor readings carefully. She nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, every alarm on every hegemony ship began screaming. The aliens watched in terror as their sensors showed massive energy signatures appearing all around them. Dozens of large ships seemed to decloak simultaneously, surrounding the hegemony fleet. For 30 seconds, the aliens stared at what appeared to be a human fleet that outnumbered them 3-1. Then, just as suddenly, the contacts vanished. Holographic projectors, Captain Chen explained as the alien crews tried to calm down. Another human technology. We find them very useful for psychological warfare. Admiral Vexitar slumped in his command chair. His hands were shaking slightly. What do you want from us? I want you to understand something, Captain Chen said. Seriously. Humanity did not develop faster-than-light travel and immediately start exploring. We spent decades preparing for the day we would meet other intelligent species. We studied, we planned, and we built. She gestured around her bridge. This ship represents 40 years of human preparation. Every system, every weapon, every defense was designed specifically for fighting in galactic wars we had never seen, but had studied extensively. You are saying you built your entire space navy to fight us? Vexitar asked. Not just you, Captain Chen replied. We built it to fight everyone. We studied every major galactic power, every weapon system, every tactical doctrine. We designed countermeasures for technologies we had never faced. Commander Torres appeared beside Captain Chen on the screen. Admiral, Would you like a demonstration of our defensive capabilities? Admiral Vextar stared at the two humans. They looked so calm, so confident. It was unnerving. What kind of demonstration? Fire one of your weapons at our ship, Torres suggested. Any weapon. We will not fire back. You want me to attack you? One shot, Captain Chen confirmed. Consider it a test. You can see how your weapons perform against our defenses, and we can show you why we are confident in our position. Admiral Vextar looked around his bridge. His officers stared back at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. They all wanted to know what this human ship could do. Very well, Vextar decided. One shot. Tactical. Target their main hull with a plasma cannon. Medium power. Sir, the tactical officer hesitated. Are you certain? Do it. A bright green beam lanced out from the Hegemony flagship toward the Indomitable. Every sensor on every ship tracked the shot. The beam struck the human dreadnought's hull directly, and nothing happened. The plasma beam simply vanished when it hit the ship's surface. No explosion, no damage, no effect at all. It was as if the energy had been absorbed completely. Adaptive shielding, Captain Chen explained. Our shields analyze incoming energy and adapt to neutralize it. The more you shoot at us, the stronger. Our defenses become against that type of weapon. Dr. Colvin was staring at his readings in disbelief. The energy signature just disappeared. It did not bounce off or get deflected. It was completely absorbed. Now you begin to understand, Captain Chen said. We did not come here to start a war, Admiral. We came here to end one before it could begin. Admiral Vextar felt something he had not experienced in years. Genuine fear. Not fear of death in battle, but fear of the unknown. These humans had technology beyond his understanding, and the confidence that came with overwhelming superiority. What are your terms? He asked quietly. Simple, Captain Chen replied. The Hegemony will withdraw from all star systems within 50 light years of human space. You will stop your expansion in this direction permanently. In return, humanity will not interfere with your operations elsewhere in the galaxy. And if I refuse? Captain Chen's expression grew cold. Then you will discover exactly what 40 years of human military preparation has produced. And Admiral, you really do not want to find out. The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Vextar staring at a blank screen. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. The human dreadnought hung in space before them, dark and silent and absolutely terrifying. 10 hours remained until the deadline. Admiral Vextar made his decision with 2 hours remaining until the deadline. Pride, anger, and centuries of hegemony dominance overruled his growing fear of the unknown. He would not be intimidated by one human ship, no matter how advanced it appeared to be. All ships, he announced over the fleet communication system, prepare for battle. We will show these humans what happens when someone challenges the hegemony. Across the 200-ship fleet, crews rushed to battle stations. Weapons powered up, shields strengthened, and fighters launched from carrier bays. The hegemony had fought many wars and won them all. Their confidence began to return as familiar battle preparations took over. On the monitoring station, silent, watch, Commander Rixval watched the preparations with growing dread. Keston, send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them Admiral Vextar is about to engage the human ship. Commander, Keston replied nervously. Should we evacuate the station? Rixval looked at the tactical display showing the massive human dreadnought. I do not think distance will matter if this goes badly. Admiral Vextar opened a communication channel to the Indomitable. Captain Chen appeared on his screen looking exactly as calm as before. Captain, Vextar announced, your deadline is meaningless. I reject your demands. Prepare to be destroyed. Captain Chen sighed softly. Admiral, you are making a mistake. This is your last chance to reconsider. The only mistake I made was not attacking you immediately, Vextar snarled. End transmission. Captain Chen's image disappeared. Admiral Vextar turned to his tactical officer. All ships, attack formation. Target that human ship and destroy it. The hegemony fleet moved forward like a pack of predators. Cruisers and destroyers spread out to surround the Indomitable, while the flagship approached from the front. Fighter squadrons swarmed ahead, ready to overwhelm any point defenses. The human dreadnought remained perfectly still. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "we are in weapons range. All ships open fire." The space around the Indomitable erupted in violence. Plasma cannons, laser batteries, missile volleys, and energy beams converged on the human ship from every direction. The combined firepower of 200 warships lit up the void like a miniature star. The attack lasted for 30 seconds. When the weapons stopped firing and the energy dissipated, every alien crew member stared in shock at the result. The Indomitable was completely undamaged. "Impossible," Dr. Colvin whispered. "Nothing could survive that much firepower." The Alpha human ship had not moved, had not even activated visible defenses. Yet somehow hundreds of energy beams and thousands of missiles had accomplished nothing. It was as if they had been attacking empty space. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "the human captain is hailing us." "Put her through," Admiral Vextar said weakly. Captain Chen appeared on the screen. Behind her, the bridge of the Indomitable showed no signs of damage or stress. No sparks, no smoke, no emergency lights. Her crew continued working calmly at their stations. "Admiral," Captain Chen said sadly, "you have made your choice. Now you will see what happens when humanity says enough." The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Indomitable began to move. The massive ship turned with impossible grace, its movements smooth and precise. As it rotated, weapon ports opened along its hull. Hundreds of them, far more than should have been possible for a ship that size. "All ships evasive maneuvers," Admiral Vextar shouted. The Indomitable fired, but it did not fire like any ship the aliens had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or missiles, it launched what appeared to be small metal projectiles. They moved so fast, they were barely visible, streaking across space like tiny meteors. The first projectile struck a hegemony destroyer. The ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was an expanding cloud of debris. No explosion, no fire, just instant destruction. "What was that?" Dr. Colvin screamed. More projectiles followed. Each one struck a different ship with the same result. Cruisers, frigates, and fighters disappeared one after another, destroyed by weapons that seemed to ignore shields and armor completely. "Kinetic kill vehicles," Commander Torres explained over an open communication channel. "Projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. At those velocities, matter behaves more like energy. Your shields cannot stop them because they are not energy weapons." Admiral Vextar watched in horror as his fleet began to disintegrate. "All ships, concentrate fire on that dreadnought, destroy it." The remaining ships poured everything they had into attacking the Indomitable. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile swarms struck the human ship continuously. But the alien weapons seemed to have even less effect than before. "The shield frequency is adapting," Dr. Colvin reported. "Their defenses are learning from our attacks and becoming stronger." As if to prove his point, the Indomitable flew directly through a massive missile barrage. Hundreds of explosions bloomed around the ship without causing any visible damage. The human dreadnought emerged from the fire completely unharmed. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we have lost 40 ships and counting." Admiral Vextar could not believe what he was seeing. His powerful fleet was being destroyed by a single enemy vessel, and they could not even scratch its hull in return. The Indomitable continued its methodical destruction. It moved through the hegemony formation like a predator among prey, its kinetic weapons striking with perfect accuracy. Each shot destroyed a ship completely, leaving nothing behind but wreckage. "Sir, the human ship is targeting us directly," the tactical officer shouted. Admiral Vextar looked up to see the Indomitable turning toward his flagship. The massive black ship was beautiful and terrifying, its hull gleaming with unknown energies. "Emergency power to shields," he ordered. All weapons, target their bridge. The flagship's most powerful weapons struck the approaching dreadnought. Plasma cannons designed to crack planets focused their fire on the human ship's command section. The energy output was enormous, enough to vaporize a small moon. The Indomitable flew through the attack without slowing down. Distance to target? Admiral Vextar asked quietly. 5,000 kilometers and closing, came the reply. Vextar closed his eyes and waited for death. His proud flagship, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was about to be destroyed by weapons he could not understand mounted on a ship he could not damage. But the killing blow never came. When Admiral Vextar opened his eyes, the Indomitable was floating directly in front of his ship, so close he could see details on its hull. Strange symbols that might have been human writing, weapon ports that glowed with contained energy, shield generators that hummed with power beyond his comprehension. Admiral Vextar, Captain Chen's voice came over the communication system. You have now seen what one human warship can do. We have destroyed 75 of your ships in 12 minutes. We could destroy the rest just as easily. Admiral Vextar looked at his tactical display. 3/4 of his fleet was gone. Debris fields marked where proud warships had been obliterated by human technology. The survivors huddled together, too afraid to attack and unable to retreat. What do you want? He whispered. I want you to send a message to every ship in your fleet, Captain Chen replied. Tell them to power down their weapons and prepare to withdraw. This battle is over. And if I refuse? There was a long pause. Then the Indomitable moved again. It swept past 3 more hegemony ships, its kinetic weapons flashing briefly. 3 more ships became expanding clouds of debris. Admiral, Captain Chen said calmly, I would prefer not to destroy your entire fleet, but I will if necessary. The choice is yours. Admiral Vextar stared at the human dreadnought. In 40 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like it. The ship was not just advanced, it was beyond his understanding. Its technology seemed like magic compared to what the hegemony possessed. All ships, he said into his communicator. Power down weapons. Prepare to withdraw. A wise decision, Captain Chen replied. You have 24 hours to leave this system. After that, any hegemony ship found in human space will be considered hostile. The Indomitable turned and moved away, leaving the shattered hegemony fleet to count their losses. Admiral Vextar slumped in his command chair, trying to understand what had just happened. One human ship had destroyed most of his fleet, without taking any damage in return. It had weapons that ignored their defenses and defenses that adapted to their attacks. Most terrifying of all, Captain Chen had fought with calm professionalism, as if destroying alien warships was just another day at the office. Sir, Dr. Colvin said quietly, what do we tell Fleet Command? Admiral Vextar looked at the debris, fields that had once been his ships. Tell them, he said slowly, that everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours of the battle, every major civilization knew that a single human warship had destroyed 3/4 of a hegemony fleet. The story seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. Sensor recordings from the monitoring station Silent Watch had been transmitted to news networks throughout known space. On the Corvaxian homeworld, High Command gathered in emergency session. Fleet Admiral Zektar, Supreme Commander of the Corvaxian military, stared at the battle recordings with growing disbelief. Play it again, he ordered. For the 5th time, the assembled officers watched the Indomitable methodically destroy hegemony warships. Each viewing made the demonstration more terrifying. The human ship moved with perfect precision, its weapons struck with absolute accuracy, and enemy fire had no effect whatsoever. Analysis? Admiral Zektar demanded. General Morkex, head of military intelligence, stepped forward. Sir, our scientists have reviewed the recordings extensively. The human ship appears to use kinetic weapons accelerated to near light speed. At those velocities, the projectiles carry enough energy to completely destroy any known ship design. And their defenses? Unknown, sir. Our experts believe they are using some form of adaptive shielding that learns from incoming attacks. Each weapon that strikes their hull makes their defenses stronger against that type of energy. Admiral Zektar frowned. How is that possible? We do not know, sir. The technology is beyond our current understanding. In the Zephyrian Council chambers, similar discussions were taking place. Chancellor Vixtel reviewed intelligence reports with growing alarm. How many human ships do we estimate they possess? She asked her advisors. Intelligence Director Kolpar consulted his datapad. Unknown, Chancellor. We have confirmed sightings of only this one dreadnought. However, given their apparent technological superiority, they may not need many ships. Recommendations? Immediate diplomatic contact, Director Kolpar replied. We should establish relations with humanity before someone else does something that provokes them. Similar scenes played out across dozens of civilizations. The Altarian Empire called emergency fleet meetings. The Centauri Confederation activated all their intelligence networks. The Vegan republics began urgent diplomatic preparations. But the most dramatic reaction came from an unexpected source. On the war-torn world of Kepler 7th, the Mantis horde had been fighting the local government for 6 months. The Mantis were a warrior race that lived for battle and conquest. They had been slowly winning their campaign when news of the human dreadnought reached their war chief. War Chief Karthak was a massive creature, even by Mantis standards. His armored carapace bore scars from 100 battles, and his forearms could wield weapons with deadly precision. He had never retreated from any enemy. Show me this recording again, he demanded. His intelligence officer, a smaller Mantis named Sector, activated the holographic display. They watched the Indomitable destroy ship after ship with clinical efficiency. This human ship, Karthak said slowly, it fights like we do. No mercy, no hesitation, complete destruction of enemies. War Chief, Sector replied nervously, their technology appears far superior to ours. Karthak's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Good. Finally, a worthy opponent. Contact our fleet commanders. We are abandoning this campaign. Sir? Sector was confused. We are close to victory here. Victory against these weaklings means nothing, Karthak snarled. But defeating the humans, that would be a battle worthy of the Mantis horde. Within days, Mantis fleets throughout the galaxy began moving toward human space. Other warrior races, inspired by the same twisted logic, began similar mobilizations. If the humans were as dangerous as they appeared, defeating them would bring incredible honor. The peace-loving species, however, had very different reactions. The ethereal collective, a race of energy beings known for their wisdom, sent immediate diplomatic messages toward human space. The crystal singers, who communicated through harmonic frequencies, began composing what they hoped would be peaceful greeting songs. But the most significant response came from an unexpected alliance. The hegemony, still reeling from their defeat, reached out to their oldest enemies. Admiral Vextar, his pride shattered but his survival instincts intact, opened secret communications with the Stellar Federation, the Democratic Union, and even the Pirate Coalition. We must put aside our differences, he argued during a clandestine meeting broadcast across secure channels. Individually, none of us can stand against this human threat. Together, we might have a chance. Federation Admiral Sarah Kolani was skeptical. You want us to ally with you because one human ship defeated your fleet? That one ship destroyed 75 warships without taking damage, Vexitar replied grimly. If they have more ships like that? How many ships do they have? Asked Coalition Captain Rex Steele, a notorious pirate leader. Unknown, Vextar admitted, but we cannot afford to underestimate them again. The alliance began forming slowly, driven by fear and pragmatism. Species that had fought each other for centuries suddenly found common ground in their terror of human military capabilities. Meanwhile, in human space, Captain Chen was receiving regular updates on galactic reactions to the battle. She sat in her ready room aboard the Indomitable, reading intelligence reports with Commander Torres. Mantis fleets are moving toward our border, Torres reported. Intelligence estimates they will arrive in 2 weeks. Captain Chen nodded. The Mantis have always been aggressive. This does not surprise me. What does surprise you, Captain? Chen looked up from her datapad. The speed of the Alliance, forming against us. I expected individual responses, but they are organizing faster than our models predicted. Are you concerned? Captain Chen smiled slightly. Jackson, we have been preparing for this moment for 40 years. Every possible scenario was considered and planned for, including the one where the entire galaxy unites against humanity. And our response? We follow the plan, continue monitoring their movements, but do not take any aggressive action. Let them come to us. Torres frowned. Captain, intelligence estimates they are assembling over 5,000 ships. Even our technology has limits. Does it? Captain Chen asked. Have you seen the latest reports from the shipyards? Torres checked his datapad and found the classified construction reports. His eyes widened as he read. These numbers, this is accurate? Completely accurate. The Indomitable was just the first, Jackson. The prototype that proved our concepts worked. Now that we know our technology is effective, production has accelerated significantly. How many ships do we have now? Captain Chen's smile grew wider. Enough. More than enough. Across the galaxy, the great powers continued their preparations. Fleets gathered, weapons were tested, and strategies were planned. Everyone believed they understood the situation. One advanced human ship had defeated a hegemony fleet through superior technology and surprise. Therefore, a large enough alliance with sufficient firepower could overwhelm even advanced human defenses. They were about to discover how wrong they were. In the depths of human space, construction facilities that had been hidden for decades were revealed. Shipyards the size of small moons, manufacturing centers buried in asteroid fields, and research stations disguised as ordinary settlements. Humanity had not been building one advanced warship. They had been building an entire fleet. The Indomitable was not alone. She had sisters, dozens of them, each one designed for specific tactical roles, but all sharing the same terrifying capabilities that had destroyed Admiral Vextar's fleet. The galaxy was mobilizing for what they believed would be the largest war in galactic history. They were gathering their fleets, planning their strategies, and preparing for battle against an enemy they thought they understood. They had no idea what was coming for them. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the tactical displays show enemy fleets moving toward human space from every direction. Thousands of ships, millions of crew members, all convinced they were about to overwhelm humanity through sheer numbers. Captain, Lieutenant Park reported from communications. We are receiving priority messages from Earth Command. Put them through. The view screen showed Admiral Maria Santos, commander of Earth Space Forces. Sarah, the Council has reviewed the galactic situation. You are authorized to proceed to Phase 2. Captain Chen nodded. Understood, Admiral. When do we begin? The other ships will be in position within 72 hours. After that, it is your call. The transmission ended. Captain Chen turned to address her bridge crew. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to show the galaxy what happens when humanity decides to take the gloves off. The massive alien coalition fleet arrived at the edge of human space with overwhelming confidence. 5,000 warships from dozen different species, representing the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. They came expecting to crush humanity through sheer numbers and firepower. Admiral Vextar commanded the coalition from his rebuilt flagship. Around him, representatives from every major galactic power worked together for the first time in centuries. Mantis War Chief Karthak stood ready for glorious battle. Federation Admiral Kolani coordinated fleet movements. Even Pirate Captain Steele had brought his most powerful ships. Human vessels detected, the sensor operator announced, reading 12 ships total. Admiral Vextar smiled grimly. 12 ships against 5,000. Even their technology cannot overcome those odds. But as the fleets drew closer, the aliens began to notice something troubling. The human ships were not identical copies of the Indomitable. Each vessel had a different design, a different size, and presumably different capabilities. Admiral, Dr. Colvin reported from his science station, I am detecting massive energy signatures from the human fleet, far higher than what we recorded from their first ship. Explain. Sir, each human ship appears to be generating power levels that should be impossible. The largest vessel is putting out more energy than our entire fleet combined. War Chief, Karthak leaned over the sensor display. Which ship is the largest? That one. Dr. Colvin pointed to a contact on the edge of the human formation. It is enormous, easily 4 times the size of their first dreadnought. Admiral Vexitar stared at the sensor reading. What could they possibly need that much? Power for? He was about to find out. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the approaching alien armada. Around her, tactical displays showed the disposition of both fleets. The aliens had spread their ships into a massive sphere formation, trying to surround the human vessels completely. They are learning, Commander Torres observed. They are not underestimating us this time. No, Captain Chen agreed. But they are still making the same fundamental mistake, which is, they think this is about numbers. Lieutenant Park looked up from her communication station. Captain, we are receiving transmissions from all 12 ships. They are ready for Phase 2. Captain Chen nodded. Open a channel to the Coalition fleet. Admiral Vextar's face appeared on the main screen, flanked by alien officers from across the galaxy. Captain Chen, he said formally, you are outnumbered 400 to 1. Surrender now, and we will discuss terms. Admiral, Captain Chen replied calmly, you have learned nothing from our last encounter. You still believe this is about the number of ships. What else could it be about? War Chief Karthak snarled from beside Vextar. Your technology is advanced, but it cannot overcome such overwhelming odds. Captain Chen looked directly at the Mantis War Chief. You want to see what human technology can really do? Very well. But remember, you asked for this. She turned to her tactical officer. Signal all ships. Execute Formation Omega. The 12 human ships began to move. But instead of forming a battle line or defensive formation, they did something unprecedented. They began to combine. The aliens watched in disbelief as the human vessels moved toward each other with perfect precision. Ship after ship, locked together with mechanical arms and energy couplers. Hull sections merged seamlessly, weapon systems integrated automatically, and shield generators synchronized their frequencies. What are they doing? Admiral Kolani whispered. Dr. Colvin's instruments were going crazy. Sir, the human ships they are becoming one ship, a single massive vessel. Within minutes, the 12 human ships had transformed into something that defied imagination. The combined vessel was larger than anything ever built by any known civilization. It bristled with thousands of weapon ports. Its hull glowed with contained energies, and space itself seemed to bend around its massive bulk. Impossible, Admiral Vextar breathed. Captain Chen's voice came over the communication channel. Admiral, meet the HFY Dreadnought Humanity's will. This is what we built during 40 years of preparation. The massive combined ship began to move toward the Coalition fleet. As it approached, its weapons came online. Not hundreds of guns, but thousands. Energy cannons, kinetic launchers, missile batteries, and weapons that had no names in any alien language. All ships attack, Admiral Vexitar screamed. Destroy that thing before it can fire. 5,000 alien warships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleets filled with energy beams, plasma bolts, missiles, and every weapon known to galactic warfare. The combined firepower was enough to sterilize entire star systems. The humanity's will flew directly into the storm of destruction, and emerged completely unharmed. Impossible, War Chief Karthak roared. Nothing could survive that. But the elite human supership had done more than survive. Its adaptive shielding had learned from every type of weapon fired at it. Its defensive systems had analyzed and cataloged every form of energy directed its way. Now it was essentially immune to anything the Coalition could throw at it. Our turn, Captain Chen announced. The humanity's will opened fire. The destruction was beyond comprehension. Weapons that could crack planets struck with perfect accuracy. Kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed tore through alien formations like they were paper. Energy beams that could boil oceans swept across entire squadrons. But the most terrifying aspect was the precision. Each shot was calculated, each target selected with surgical accuracy. The human ship was not simply firing randomly into the coalition fleet. It was systematically dismantling their military capability while deliberately avoiding unnecessary casualties. They are targeting weapons and engines, Admiral Kalani realized. They are trying to disable us, not destroy us. Admiral Vextar watched in horror as his mighty coalition fleet was reduced to helpless hulks floating in space. Ship after ship lost its weapons, its engines, its ability to fight. But the crews remained alive, the life support systems undamaged. In less than an hour, it was over. 5,000 warships hung powerless in space, their crews alive but their military might completely neutralized. The largest fleet in galactic history had been defeated by a single human vessel. Coalition fleet, Captain Chen's voice came, over all communication channels. This is your final demonstration. Humanity has no desire to rule the galaxy or destroy other civilizations, but we will not tolerate aggression against our people or our territory. The humanity's will began to separate back into its component ships. The process was as smooth and precise as the combination had been. Within minutes, 12 individual human dreadnoughts hung in space where one supership had been. Each of these vessels, Captain Chen continued, is capable of defeating fleets many times their size. We have dozens more in reserve, but we would prefer to use them as peacekeepers rather than weapons of war. Admiral Vextar found his voice. What do you want from us? Nothing, Captain Chen replied, surprising everyone. We want nothing from any of you. We simply want to be left alone to develop our civilization in peace. In return, we offer our protection to any species that faces extinction or genocide. War Chief Karthak struggled to understand. You defeated us completely. Why do you not conquer us? Because conquest was never our goal, Captain Chen explained. We prepared for war so that we would never have to fight one. We built these ships so that no one would ever again threaten humanity's right to exist. She paused, letting her words sink in. Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. An era where aggression is met with overwhelming response, but peaceful coexistence is rewarded with protection and cooperation. Captain Chen turned to address the disabled coalition fleet directly. Your ships will be repaired, and your crews returned safely to your territories. In return, you will spread word throughout the galaxy that humanity seeks peace, but is prepared for war. The transmission ended. The human fleet began moving away, leaving the aliens to contemplate what had just happened. They had come expecting to crush a dangerous enemy. Instead, they had discovered that humanity was more powerful than anyone had imagined, but also more merciful than anyone had dared hope. Over the following months, news of the battle spread throughout known space. The story became legend. The Day 5,000 ships attacked 12 human vessels and learned the true meaning of technological superiority. But more important than the military demonstration was the message that followed. Humanity established the Galactic Protection Initiative, offering defensive assistance to any species facing extinction. Their dreadnoughts became peacekeepers, preventing wars rather than starting them. The galaxy had entered a new age, an age where one species possessed the power to destroy all others, but chose instead to protect them. The human dreadnoughts patrolled the space lanes, their very presence enough to prevent most conflicts. Children across the galaxy learned the story in school. The day the humans said enough and changed everything. The day the galaxy discovered that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from the